I wanted to share this with you guys. This caught my eye the other day. So the political streamer Destiny, who I would describe as like a center left kind of guy, he went on Twitter and said the following: "Hi Team YouTube, I've appealed a medical misinformation strike for this video," and then he links the video, "where I believe I wrongly received a strike for critiquing a Project Veritas video. Would appreciate it if someone could take a deeper look at the strike. Thank you." And then he also went on to say the following: "LOL, okay. Team YouTube seems to think I am propagating misinformation, so probably done talking about COVID and vaccine-related stuff on my channel forever, unless they tweak their moderation stuff. See you on Friday." So what Destiny is referring to here, now I did not see his original video that he's talking about, but what he's referring to is there was a Project Veritas video that came out. And my understanding about that Project Veritas video is they claim here's an insider at Pfizer who's saying, here at Pfizer, we're trying to create a new variant of COVID-19. We're trying to create a new variant of COVID-19. So in other words, Pfizer is doing some sort of gain-of-function research. And of course, you know, the assumption and implication from the right is that this is not safe. This is bad. This, in theory, could have been what created COVID-19 in the first place. So, hey, everybody get outraged. Everybody, you know, try to stop Pfizer from doing it, whatever. Now, look, whenever you talk about Project Veritas, you have to add the caveats. The guy who runs it, James O'Keefe, the guy who's like the head guy there, he's a convicted criminal. And he's a criminal because he's a liar. Like, he's just been caught flat out fabricating stuff and taking things out of context and misleading people. And that, all that stuff I just said is not even close to controversial. That's just like the bare minimum that you have to acknowledge whenever you talk about Project Veritas, or you're not being honest. It's like, okay, known liar group claims X. Okay, so maybe put a little asterisk there, right? Like, okay, maybe they have a point, but maybe they don't, because this guy's been known to lie time and time again. Anyway, so now there's a whole conversation you can have about gain-of-function research, and I can give you guys my take on that, but that's really beside the point for this conversation. The point I want to make is, look at how YouTube is acting here. This is the exact problem I've run into a number of times. So to give you a couple examples from my own experience, when Trump went on, what was it? I think it's called the Full Send podcast, the podcast with the Nelk Boys. It's a very, very big podcast. Remember, YouTube banned that whole podcast with Trump. Now, I had covered a portion of that podcast and reacted to it in real time. And, you know, in that podcast, Trump brought up like election misinformation stuff, which he does in almost every single interview. And I think, in theory, that's why YouTube banned the whole thing. But so I played it and I was like rebutting Trump and responding to him and disagreeing and, you know, bringing up facts that counter his narrative. And YouTube banned my whole video too. So just me covering that, even though I was disagreeing with Trump, they were like, no, this, you know, we're banning this whole thing. That's astonishing. Another great example. Alex Jones, a few years back, was going around everywhere and saying, I never said Sandy Hook was a hoax. I never said it was a conspiracy theory. I never said any of that. And I remember being just astonished he would make that claim, given, like, bro, you were on tape. You were recorded. It's not like... This stuff is findable. We know you did say it. So what did I do? Well, I covered Alex Jones saying that, and I played what was a Media Matters compilation. They had spliced together all the different times throughout the years that he did call it a conspiracy. He did call it a hoax. He did say Obama's doing this because he wants to come and take your guns. And so I played on my show that compilation of him saying all those things and, you know, responding to him and being like, this guy is just a brazen liar. Well, guess what? YouTube banned that video as well. Totally pulled it down. Pulled down me criticizing Trump in the Nelk Boys interview, and pulled down me debunking Alex Jones in real time. And so now here you have a case, again, regardless of what you think of the Project Veritas thing, here's Destiny saying, hey, I'm disagreeing with this, and I'm very likely in that video going after the right for vaccine misinformation, which they propagate on a regular basis, and he's being treated just like he's propagating the misinformation. This is the exact same. Jordan Chariton, you know, investigative reporter Jordan Chariton over at the Status Coup YouTube channel, he was on the ground at January 6th. He has video on the ground of the riot that unfolded, the coup attempt. He has video of all of it. He was there. So he posts that on his YouTube channel. he licenses that footage out to a lot of the big media players. I don't remember which specific ones it was, but it was like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, one of those, right? He licensed that footage to them. And what does YouTube do? YouTube bans Jordan Chariton's own footage from his own channel, and they allow it up for the major media outlets. What? This is not a guy who's, pushed rigged election stuff. If anything, he's debunked rigged election stuff. So he has firsthand investigative journalism, and they're like, for you, not okay, but for the mainstream players, we're going to leave it. This is a problem, man. This is a huge problem. And this is what we talk about when we say YouTube has issues, right? I'm convinced that in the algorithm, and you saw David Pakman talk about this recently, I talked about this recently, other, left-leaning YouTubers have talked about this. We get treated like we are part of the problem, when in a world that made sense, we would be viewed as part of the solution, right? Like, if you don't want Las Vegas mass shooting conspiracy spreading, okay, maybe you should pump some people who are going to debunk that theory. Hello, right? If you don't want the vaccine misinformation spreading, maybe you should pump some people who know how to debunk that, but also are independent and can appeal to a young audience. The idea that you could just rely on CNN, who nobody likes, the hosts are not charismatic or interesting, rely on them to debunk these right-leaning voices that are charismatic, it's never going to work. Don Lemon is never going to out-charisma like Alex Jones or something, right? So this is a problem, man. This is a huge problem. And so clearly Destiny's dealing with it. We've dealt with it over here. And YouTube has to make some changes. They have to make some changes. And I hope, honest media outlets can look at this and call YouTube out for what they're doing here. Because this is, again, part of the problem. They think any sort of independent alternative media is a problem by its very nature, right? So, and don't get me wrong, there are outlets like alternative media outlets, independent media outlets that do spread misinformation and stuff, but they treat all of us like we're the same, and that's not true, and it's not fair, and they're shooting themselves in the foot. We could be a badge of honor, right? Like, if YouTube wants to debunk vaccine misinformation stuff, well, I'm sure Destiny did that, and instead of pumping the video, they ban it. It's crazy. So anyway, there you have it. YouTube better get its act together. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.